Welcome back to Red Card. I'm your host, Anthony Totera. Once again, we thank you so much for making time out of your busy schedule. Again, thanks so much to the agent of Sebastian Jovinko joining us, Andrea D'Amico, Jeff Carlisle of ESPN from LA, joining us in the early hours of his day. We thank him so much for making the time. And New York City's own, and a guy that is revered all over North America, the professor, the dean, Michael Lewis of BigAppleSoccer.com, joining us right now. A guy that is in the spotlight, getting ready for the election, the president of the OSA, Ron Smale. Ron, welcome.
Thank you, Anthony.
Pleasure to have you on. Ron, let's talk about it. The election is coming up. Wanted to have you on to talk about, first and foremost, some of the highlights leading up to this election for the OSA under your leadership in this past year, but also in the last couple of years. Talk about it.
Well, certainly one of the major issues has been governance reform and the need for us to move to a skills-based board from what I'll call our representative board, and to provide some more direction and some leadership in respect to, obviously, the technical aspects of the game, strategic planning, etc. So certainly governance reform is very, very important and critical to the development and growth of the game here in the province of Ontario, Anthony.
Let me ask you this, Ron. In your mind, the top three things that you've accomplished, the top three things during your tenure that you believe you accomplished that will be of help for clubs, academies, mums and dads out there, coaches, administrators. What are the top three things under your tenure that you believe you've accomplished?
Well, I believe the first issue, obviously, is the issue of LTPD and the alignment of our player pathway going forward. In conjunction with that, bringing on, obviously, the OPDL and bringing forward also the issue of League One for a semi-pro environment, both for men and women. But it's not just about me, Anthony. It's about a board of directors and it's about staff who have really spent a lot of time and energy and effort in really working with our national body to create these programs and ensure that we are moving the game in a very positive direction.
Ron, let's talk about a lot of the positive things that you mentioned, that League One Ontario being one, a new facility there. Well, not a new facility, but an existing one, the OSA Stadium there being really done over in a great way. I think those are the two things that right away I look at and I say, this is good. And I also look at some of the things that have happened over the past year where academies and clubs can sit down and break bread and discuss what is best for the game, the players and the coaches. Talk about that.
Yeah, certainly the infrastructure renovation and rebuild was important. For those listeners who don't know, we redid and replaced our indoor turf field. And with that, in conjunction with the outdoor turf and the building of a stadium that'll seat 1,200 persons, and at the same time hosting USL with TFC2, and then of course hosting some of the games, not all the games, Anthony, but some of the games with respect to League One. Certainly are very, very important issues that we've accomplished, I would say, in the last 12 to 18 months. Again, it's all about developing and putting these concepts and ideas forward so that our players do have a pathway. They do understand that there is a way to reach what I'll call higher levels of the game. And at the same time, when you talk about the facility here at the soccer center and the upgrades, that's great news for our community clubs who use these facilities all the time, the Woodbridge, the Vaughan, Glen Shields, and Kleinburg, Nobleton. So our local community gets to use these events or infrastructure as well.
What do you see, Ron, as some of the biggest challenges for the sport going forward and the OSA itself to overcome?
Well, for me, the issue is the issue of unity. We talked, or you mentioned briefly, the issue of academies and clubs working together. That's very, very important. I believe we are getting a little bit closer. We have the ORCA status, which is phase one. We'll be looking to bring forward new concepts and new ideas of how to integrate academies and clubs down the road in the next year to two. Certainly, the issue of having that alignment with the national body. You've seen and you know of a lot of good issues that are happening between ourselves and the national body. So I believe we're truly on a very good path here, Anthony, as we work towards just a better level of game, a better level of opportunity.
Ron, look, I've always told you to your face, I've never said it behind your back. There's a lot of things I agree with what you've done, but there's some things I don't agree with what you've done, and that's important that people express to you, whether it's me or others in the game that love it and are as passionate as I am, and really in the grassroots community as I am day in and day out. That we can agree and we can disagree, but we always have to put the player first, the coach first, and put our egos to the side. Let me ask you this, Ron. You talked about governance. Let's talk about governance. I put something down here that I didn't want to forget. It's been more than 4 years. I think it's been more than 4 years the CSA enacted a sweeping change, governance modernization. Most agree it's mostly a good move, a positive move. Yet the OSA still functions with the kind of governance model that the CSA want to do away with. Where do you stand with this? Because I don't know all the ins and outs, all the logistics of this, but I keep hearing this word of governance thrown out there, and I keep hearing that people want it and people don't want it. Where do you stand?
Well, where I stand is we have a board of 28 people, and it's too big, Anthony. It's too big to operate, too big to run. As I mentioned before, we need a skill set board going forward. We have 36 full-time staff. Let the staff manage the operation day-to-day issues, and have a skill set board do the strategic planning and do the layout of how the game needs to move forward from a player, coach, and referee-centric basis. Certainly the CSA took a leadership role, and they started the process. We've been in our role of governance reform now for 2.5 years, and we're moving in a very process way. We're moving in a very deliberate way to, first off, look at what options are out there, look what's going to work best for the province of Ontario. One size doesn't fit all, Anthony. And with that, hopefully we'll be able to get the issues of inclusiveness, community, integrity, all those issues properly aligned with a new board structure.
But let me ask you this. Look, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer there in your kitchen. I might have fell off a couple turnip trucks here and there, and I hit my head off the side of a sidewalk there. But why is fundamental change, so hard? And it's so difficult. Why? I'm confused. Why isn't everyone on board that needs to be on board to make a fundamental change at the OSA's governing model?
Well, I think change is well known that change is difficult. We've had a structure that's been in place since 1985, Anthony. The structure is outdated. Budgets have changed. The game's become more professional. More opportunities are there. Clubs are becoming more professional and more proficient in what they can do. And as such, the model needs to change as well. So we will be spending this part of the year spending a lot of time in doing some town hall meetings and some community group sessions to get that message out there, to show people what we believe is the right way to move forward, respecting all the legacies and issues that have been in place over the last 20, 30, 40 years.
Look, let's put the cards on the table, Ron. You and I have had many discussions on the record, off the record, about important decisions have to be made at important times for our province and for our country. But I can tell you one thing. Whether it's Victor Montagliani, who, by the way, congratulations to Victor now at CONCACAF, the CSA president still, or whether it's yourself, you guys are doing it for the right reason. I remember calling you one time on a Saturday, and you were all the way out in Thunder Bay. And 24 hours before, you were at home with an ill parent. And you're traveling all over the province. Your phone number is accessible to anyone. You continuously are a target when you go out to fields or clubs or academies because everyone wants to come and talk to you and everyone wants to give you their complaint. But this is the first time I remember from presidents past that their phone number is accessible, their email is accessible, you return calls, you return phone calls. And I think this is important. Whether you get reelected or not, I think this is vitally important for the province of Ontario that the next president, if it's you, great. If it's not, they continue on this. Because I've heard from a lot of parents, coaches, and whatever, that, hey, say what you want about Ron Smale, agree or not with him, he'll return your call, he'll return your email, and you can debate it and you can hash it out. Why do you want to run again, Ron? You're a volunteer. You spend a lot of time away from family. You keep getting people throwing you, left, right, and center shots. Why, Ron? I wouldn't, to be honest with you.
Well, the reason I would like to have another term is simply because I want to finish what we've started. when you're talking governance reform, it took the CSA 8 years. I'm not saying it's going to take us 8 years, Anthony, but there needs to be strong education and communication, respect and sensitivity throughout the whole process. I would like us to finish the process. I would like to leave something behind with the board of directors that's going to better the game and make it more opportunities for our athletes to achieve higher levels of the game if they wish. At the same time, grassroots, as we all know, clubs are the backbone and the foundation of our system, and I believe it's important that they and their legacies be honored and respected and recognized as well. So it becomes an internal personal passion about what I like to do. I want to see things improve. I want to see things get better. Now, I'll be quite frank, over the last 4 to 5 years as president of the OSA, we are getting better in what we do. It's not just about Ron Smale, it's about the whole family as a collective working together.
Right, but what do you want to say to those people, honestly, Ron, that say, well, Ron has a big ego. Ron just wants to make sure that he gets into the Hall of Fame when he decides to pack it in. What do you want to say to those people? Because they think it's your ego, they think that you have all the right answers and that you don't want to listen to certain people. What do you want to say to that?
I'd like to say that that is not me. I want to see the game grow. At the same time, I want to see all the opportunities available and a high level of solidification between the sport of soccer in Ontario and our communities. I'm not interested in the Hall of Fame. I'm not interested in aspiring to higher levels of positions or whatever. I'm interested in taking the Ontario Soccer Association to a new level. The current system that we have of governance, the current system we have of structure, needs to be retooled. It needs to be rejigged a bit, Anthony, and that's what I'm really focused on.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because, again, a lot of people have taken shots at you, whether right or not. A lot of people have taken shots at people at the OSA that they feel that the decisions they're making are the wrong decisions. Yeah, we can debate that. We can discuss that. That's fine. But to take personal shots, I disagree with. Look, I believe also as well, since Johnny Misley has taken over, he's shown some real good leadership qualities. He lets people do their job. He doesn't continuously call or email people. He gives them their space. He doesn't micromanage. That's what I've noticed personally, speaking from working in League One. And I love that because I tell you what, Ron, if I had an individual that would micromanage me, call me every day, send me an email, be on top of me, watch me, I'd say, guess what? I'm done. Find yourself someone else that can do the job better at your liking. I'm out. And that's what I like about his qualities, is he leaves people alone to do their job.
Yeah, he has a tremendous background, Johnny does, and I believe it's one of the best acquisitions the Ontario Soccer Association has made. And with that, Johnny has put a lot of people in positions of responsibility and authority going forward. And if there's one issue now that we're really focused on, it's the issue of accountability, responsibility, and communicating back with people who either contact us by email, by phone, etc. So this is all important. It's all about a team environment. It's all about a family environment. And I believe that going forward, it'll just get stronger and better for the game, not only in the province of Ontario, but across Canada.
Well, we just got a few tweets. People wanted me to make sure that I pass on the good wishes and good luck to you, and hopefully you get reelected so more positive things can continue on here in the province of Ontario. Ron Smale, president of the OSA, good luck in the election, and hopefully we can talk again in a month's time when you are the president once again.
I appreciate it very much, Anthony, and have a great long weekend.
That is the president of the OSA, Ron Smale. We'll take a quick commercial break and we'll wrap it all up with a nice bow and thank all our guests that have joined us here today on Red Card. Back in a minute here on Red Card.
You know that it's been so hard. I tried to tell you in